What if I told you that a simple 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cent hiding in your pocket could be worth far more than 1 cent, and that 3 specific reverses have collectors hunting rolls like treasure seekers across America? This was the year the United States Mint honored Abraham Lincoln with 4 stunning reverse designs, but among them the rarest and most valuable pieces were born from tiny details overlooked by millions. First, the 2009 Formative Years reverse with the double die errors, where extra thickness and shadowing in the lettering turned an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Then the 2009 Professional Life reverse struck in brilliant red copper with ultra-low population in perfect MS-70 condition, selling for jaw-dropping prices at auction. And finally, the legendary 2009 Presidency in Washington, D.C. reverse, with dramatic die cracks off center strikes and missing clad errors, that transformed everyday change into headline-making rarities. These coins were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, but only a fraction survived in flawless condition, and even fewer carry the rare mint errors that push values into hundreds and even thousands of dollars. Collectors study the log cabin, the rail splitter, the Illinois courthouse, and the U.S. Capitol design, searching for subtle, doubling crisp luster and untouched surfaces, because one tiny detail can separate a 1-cent coin from a 4-figure payday. So before you ignore that 2009 penny, remember this. The most valuable treasures are often hiding in plain sight, and the next rare Lincoln Bicentennial cent reverse could already be in your hands waiting to change everything. In 2009, the United States honored the 200th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent with a historic 4-coin redesign program that celebrated different stages of Lincoln's life, and one of the most meaningful designs in that series was the Formative Years reverse, which captured the spirit of a young man shaping his destiny on the American frontier. The story of this coin begins in 1809, when Abraham Lincoln was born, in a small log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, at a time when the United States was still a young and expanding nation filled with opportunity and hardship. Lincoln's early childhood was marked by poverty loss and constant movement, as his family struggled to survive on the frontier, first in Kentucky and later in Indiana. When Lincoln was 9 years old, his mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, passed away, leaving a deep emotional scar that would shape his character and strengthen his resilience. His father, Thomas Lincoln, worked tirelessly as a farmer and carpenter, yet formal education for young Abraham was limited to scattered lessons in crude frontier schools that together may have totaled less than a year. Despite these obstacles, Lincoln developed a powerful hunger for knowledge, reading any book he could borrow, including the Bible, Aesop's fables, Robinson Crusoe, and biographies of George Washington. The image chosen for the Formative Years reverse design reflects this self-taught determination, showing a young Lincoln seated on a log during a break from rail splitting with a book in his hands and an axe resting beside him, symbolizing the balance between manual labor and intellectual growth that defined his youth. The designer of this reverse was United States Mint Artistic Infusion Program artist Charles Vickers, and the sculptor-engraver was United States Mint sculptor Don Everhart, whose engraving brought life and texture to the frontier scene, capturing the rough clothing, the split rails, and the thoughtful posture of a young man dreaming beyond his circumstances. The obverse of the coin retained Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Lincoln, first introduced in 1909, marking the first time a real person appeared on a regularly circulating United States coin, and connecting the Bicentennial series to a century of numismatic tradition. The inscriptions on the Formative Years reverse include United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 cent, while the obverse bears In God We Trust Liberty, and the date 2009, along with the mint mark indicating Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The Philadelphia and Denver mints struck hundreds of millions of these coins for circulation, ensuring that Americans across the nation could hold a piece of Lincoln's early story in their hands, while the San Francisco Mint produced special proof versions for collectors in both copper-plated zinc and the special 95% copper composition that replicated the original 1909 cent alloy, offering a deeper, richer color and historical authenticity. The legislative authority for the Lincoln Bicentennial 1-cent program came through the Presidential $1 Coin Act of 2005, which mandated the temporary redesign of the reverse in 2009 to honor Lincoln's life in 4 stages: birth and early childhood, formative years, professional life, and presidency. The formative years design specifically represents the period when Lincoln lived in Indiana from 1816 to 1830, where he helped his family clear land, build fences, and survive harsh winters while quietly nurturing his love of reading and self-improvement. During these years, Lincoln grew tall and strong, earning a reputation for honesty, hard work, and storytelling skills that would later make him a gifted lawyer and politician. The rail-splitting image was carefully chosen because Lincoln himself often referenced his frontier labor during political campaigns, presenting himself as a self-made man who rose from humble beginnings, and the symbolism resonated deeply with American ideals of opportunity, perseverance, and education. In terms of mintage, the 2009 Formative Years cents were struck in enormous quantities for circulation, though exact figures vary between mints with Philadelphia and Denver, each producing hundreds of millions, while the San Francisco proof issues were limited to collector sets, making high-grade examples and especially flawless proof coins particularly desirable among numismatists. Collectors also pay attention to error varieties, including doubled dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks, which can command premium prices depending on condition, rarity, and demand. The 2009 issues were produced in a year when the United States economy was facing the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, and interestingly, overall, cent production numbers were lower compared to some earlier years, due to reduced demand for coinage, adding another layer of historical context to the bicentennial series. The metallic composition of the standard circulation coins remained 97.5% zinc, with a thin copper plating weighing 2.5 grams, while the special collector versions in the Lincoln Coin and Chronicles sets were struck in the original bronze alloy of 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, echoing the coin first released in 1909. The edge of the coin remains plain consistent with traditional Lincoln cents, and the diameter measures 19.05 millimeters, preserving the familiar size that Americans recognize instantly. The artistry of the Formative Years reverse stands out because it does not depict a grand building or dramatic national event, but rather an intimate moment of reflection, capturing the quiet determination that formed the foundation of Lincoln's greatness. And this human-centered approach allows viewers to connect emotionally with the young future president. When viewers examine the coin closely, they can see the detailing in the log texture, the folds of Lincoln's shirt and trousers, and the natural setting which together evoke the rugged Indiana wilderness. The decision to portray Lincoln reading during a break from labor sends a powerful message that education and ambition can flourish even in the harshest environments, reinforcing the American narrative that knowledge is the pathway to progress. For YouTube audiences exploring the history of this coin over an extended documentary format, there is opportunity to dive deeper into Lincoln's Indiana years, discussing his stepmother, Sarah Bush Johnston. Lincoln, who encouraged his reading, his early exposure to law and politics, his participation in local debates, and his first journeys down the Mississippi River, which broadened his worldview and exposed him to the realities of slavery that would later shape his presidency. The Formative Years cent therefore serves not only as a numismatic collectible, but also as a storytelling device, bridging coin collecting with American history and biography. In classrooms, collectors, clubs, and online communities, the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cents sparked renewed interest in the penny, a denomination often overlooked despite being the most produced coin in United States history, and many young collectors began filling albums with all four 2009 designs, creating a gateway into the wider hobby of numismatics. Market values for circulated examples of the Formative Years cent generally remain at face value due to high mintages, yet uncirculated rolls, mint state-graded coins, and especially high-grade proofs can sell for premiums depending on condition grading service certification and special error characteristics. The coin also marked the final year before the permanent reverse redesign introduced in 2010, featuring the Union Shield, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States during the Civil War, making the 2009 series a transitional milestone between historical tribute and modern design evolution. Over time, historians and collectors have come to appreciate how the Formative Years reverse encapsulates the essence of Lincoln's character: humility, persistence, curiosity, and moral growth qualities that would guide him through the nation's greatest crisis. As you hold or view this coin, imagine the young Abraham Lincoln sitting quietly on a log in the Indiana wilderness, the sun setting after a long day of rails splitting the forest, silent, except for the turning of pages, and consider how that simple moment of study and reflection helped shape a leader who would preserve the Union and redefine freedom. The 2009 Formative Years Lincoln Bicentennial cent remains a powerful reminder that greatness often begins in obscurity, that education can illuminate even the darkest frontier nights, and that a single small copper coin can carry within it the sweeping story of a nation and the journey of a boy who dared to learn, dream, and rise beyond his beginnings. The year 2009 was one of the most historic and emotional years in the long journey of the Lincoln cent. It marked 200 years since the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, born on February 12, 1809. To honor this bicentennial anniversary, the United States Mint created a special four-coin series within the Lincoln cent program. Each design told a chapter of Lincoln's life. The fourth and final design in that series was titled Professional Life. The 2009 D. Lincoln Bicentennial Cent Professional Life represents Lincoln standing before the United States Capitol during his presidency, symbolizing his leadership during the Civil War and his lasting impact on the nation. To truly understand the importance of the 2009 D. Professional Life cent, we must first look back at the history of the Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It was the first United States coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic representation like Lady Liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse portrait of Lincoln became one of the most recognizable coin images in the world. For 100 years, the Lincoln cent carried that same portrait on the front, while the reverse design changed over the decades from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial. By 2009, the Lincoln cent had already gone through major design transformations. From 1909 to 1958, the reverse featured two wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. In 1959, on the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse changed to the Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo. That memorial reverse remained in production for 50 years until the bicentennial celebration arrived. The United States Mint decided that 2009 would not be an ordinary year. Instead of one reverse design, 4 different designs would be released throughout the year, each representing a different stage of Lincoln's life. The first design represented his birth and early childhood in Kentucky. The second depicted his formative years in Indiana. The third illustrated his professional life in Illinois before becoming president. The fourth and final design, which we focus on in this story, depicted his professional life as president in Washington, D.C. However, the official name of the fourth design was Professional Life, and it shows Lincoln standing in front of the partially constructed United States Capitol dome. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cent Professional Life was struck at the Denver Mint. The small D mint mark located on the obverse beneath the date indicates its origin. The designer of the reverse was Susan Gamble, and the sculptor-engraver was Joseph Mena. The design captures Lincoln standing confidently with the unfinished Capitol dome behind him. This unfinished dome is extremely symbolic. During the Civil War, while the nation was divided and fighting internally, construction on the Capitol dome continued. Lincoln insisted that work continue on the Capitol to show that the Union would endure and that the government would remain strong despite the conflict. In this design, Lincoln is shown as president, dressed formally, standing tall, representing strength and determination. The image is powerful yet simple. The inscriptions on the reverse include United States of America, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum. The obverse retains Victor David Brenner's original portrait of Lincoln, along with the inscriptions In God We Trust, Liberty, and the date 2009 with the D mint mark. The composition of the 2009 D Professional Life cent is also historically significant. For circulation coins in 2009, the composition returned to 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc, similar to the original composition used from 1909 until 1982. This was a temporary change from the modern copper-plated zinc composition used since 1982. The special copper composition gave the bicentennial cents a warmer, more traditional appearance, closer to the classic early Lincoln cents. The mintage of the 2009 D Professional Life cent was substantial, as millions were produced for circulation. However, compared to typical Lincoln cent mintages from other years, the 2009 mintages were lower due to decreased coin demand during the economic recession. Many collectors saved rolls and bags of these coins directly from banks, recognizing their historic importance as a one-year-only design. The historical context of the Professional Life design is deeply tied to Lincoln's presidency from 1861 to 1865. When Lincoln assumed office, the nation was on the brink of collapse. Several southern states had already seceded from the Union. The Civil War began shortly after he took office. Lincoln faced immense pressure, criticism, and unimaginable challenges. Yet through determination and moral conviction, he guided the Union through its darkest days. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued in 1863, declared freedom for enslaved people in Confederate states and reshaped the purpose of the war into a fight for human liberty. The unfinished Capitol dome seen in the coin design represents hope during turmoil. Construction on the dome began before the Civil War, but was interrupted by conflict and financial strain. Many believed the work should stop because of the war. Lincoln disagreed. He believed completing the dome was a powerful symbol that democracy would survive. The dome was completed in 1866 after Lincoln's assassination, but its construction during the war years became a lasting testament to national perseverance. The 2009 D Professional Life cent captures that exact moment in history. It freezes time and places Lincoln in front of a building that represents the heart of American government. It reminds collectors that even in the most divided times, leadership and vision can preserve a nation. For collectors, the 2009 D Professional Life cent exists in multiple formats. Circulation strikes were widely distributed through banks. Additionally, the United States Mint released uncirculated rolls and bags from the Denver Mint. Proof versions were struck at the San Francisco Mint with the S Mint mark, featuring mirror-like finishes for collectors. Special collector sets also included the bicentennial designs struck in 95% copper. Grading plays a major role in the value of these coins today. Most circulated examples carry minimal premium over face value, but high-grade uncirculated coins graded MS 67 or higher can command stronger prices. Collectors look for sharp details in Lincoln's coat, the Capitol dome lines, and clean fields free from marks. Because many people saved these coins immediately, high-grade examples are relatively common, but perfect top population coins remain desirable. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial series marked the end of an era. In 2010, the reverse design changed again to the Union Shield design, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the Union. That shield reverse continues today. Therefore, the Professional Life design represents not only Lincoln's presidency, but also the final chapter of the special four-coin tribute. The artistic detail of the Professional Life design deserves closer attention. Lincoln's posture is upright and confident. His right hand rests at his side, while the left appears near his lapel. The partially constructed dome behind him shows visible scaffolding and incomplete structure. This level of detail on a small 1-cent coin demonstrates the skill of modern engravers. Even on a coin only 19 millimeters in diameter, the symbolism is clear and powerful. The Denver Mint itself has a rich history. Established in 1906, the Denver facility has produced billions of coins for circulation. The D-Mint mark has appeared on Lincoln cents since 1911, except for 1922, when no D was used due to a die issue. The 2009 D Professional Life cent continues that long Denver tradition. Economically, the year 2009 was challenging for the United States and the world. The global financial crisis affected coin production numbers. Demand for new coins dropped because fewer transactions required physical change. This indirectly influenced the total mintages of the bicentennial cents. As a result, some collectors believe that future demand for high-grade examples may increase. As time passes, from an educational standpoint, the 2009 D Professional Life cent is often used by teachers and parents to introduce children to American history. The four-coin series creates a visual timeline of Lincoln's life, from log cabin to White House. It shows how a boy born in humble circumstances rose to lead a divided nation. This storytelling through coin design is one of the most powerful aspects of numismatics. The coin also reminds us of the importance of leadership during crisis. Lincoln's presidency tested the very foundation of the United States. His Gettysburg Address in 1863 redefined the purpose of the war and emphasized equality and democratic principles. His commitment to preserving the Union ensured that the nation would remain united. Tragically, Lincoln was assassinated in April 1865, just days after the Civil War effectively ended. His legacy, however, continues to shape American identity. Collectors often assemble full four-coin 2009 sets, including the birth and early childhood design, the Formative Years design, the early Professional Life design, and the Professional Life design. Having all four together provides a complete story. The Professional Life coin is typically considered the most dramatic design due to the capital imagery. Over time, the 2009 D Professional Life cent has become a nostalgic piece for those who collected it during its release year. Many remember visiting banks to request new rolls. Some search through pocket change, hoping to find all four designs. For younger collectors, this series may have sparked a lifelong interest in coin collecting. In terms of long-term significance, the 2009 Bicentennial series represents the only year in Lincoln cent history when four different reverse designs were issued for circulation. That uniqueness alone ensures its place in numismatic history. The Professional Life design stands as the final chapter of that historic year. As we reflect on this coin, we see more than copper and metal. We see a story of perseverance, courage, and national unity. The 2009 D. Lincoln Bicentennial cent Professional Life captures a moment when the United States faced its greatest internal struggle and emerged stronger. It honors a president whose leadership changed the course of history. For your YouTube audience, you can explore the symbolism, the mintage numbers, grading tips, collecting strategies, and the broader history of Lincoln's presidency. You can discuss how coin design reflects cultural memory. You can describe how small, everyday objects like a penny carry stories of war, freedom, and democracy. The 2009 Professional Life cent may be worth only 1 cent in spending power, but its historical value is far greater. It connects modern Americans with the legacy of Abraham Lincoln 200 years after his birth. It reminds us that even the smallest coin in our pocket can hold a powerful story. And as collectors continue to preserve these coins in albums and holders, the image of Lincoln standing before the unfinished Capitol will continue to inspire future generations, just as Lincoln himself continues to inspire the world. The year 2009 marked a historic milestone in American coinage because it celebrated the 200th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself, which was first introduced in 1909. And for the first time in history, the reverse design of the United States 1-cent coin was changed 4 times in a single year to honor the 4 major stages of Lincoln's life and the 4th and final design titled Presidency in Washington. D.C. represents the culmination of his journey from humble beginnings to the highest office in the nation, and this coin captures the strength, responsibility, and legacy of Lincoln during the most turbulent period in American history when the nation was divided by civil war and tested like never before. The obverse of the coin continues the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear on the coin, and this portrait has been a symbol of American resilience for over a century. But in 2009, the inscriptions were slightly modified to include the dual date, 1809-2009, marking the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, while the word liberty appears to the left of Lincoln, and in God We Trust arches above his head with the mint mark positioned to the right, and these elements connect modern collectors with the long tradition of the Lincoln cent, which remains one of the most recognized coins in the world. The reverse design of the Presidency in Washington, D.C. coin was created by designer Susan Gamble and sculpted by Joseph Mena, and it features the United States Capitol dome under construction, symbolizing the nation in the process of rebuilding and redefining itself during Lincoln's presidency, and the unfinished dome is deeply symbolic. Because during the Civil War, while conflict raged across battlefields, Lincoln insisted that construction of the Capitol continue, as a powerful message that the Union would endure and that democracy would survive, and the inscription United States of America appears boldly above the image, while 1 cent and E pluribus unum are prominently displayed, reinforcing the identity and unity of the nation. This imagery connects directly to Lincoln's presidency from 1861 to 1865, when he led the country through the Civil War, preserved the Union, and issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which reshaped the moral and political landscape of the United States. And by choosing the Capitol dome under construction, the coin quietly tells a story of determination, progress, and faith in the American experiment, even when the future seemed uncertain, and it reminds viewers that Lincoln's leadership was not just about winning a war, but about preserving a vision of liberty and equality that would continue to evolve long after his death. The 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cents were struck at multiple facilities of the United States Mint, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with circulation strikes produced in copper-plated zinc composition similar to modern cents, while special collector versions were struck in a composition of 95% copper, echoing the original bronze alloy used in early 20th century Lincoln cents. And this return to the classic metal composition was a deliberate nod to history, giving collectors a tangible link to the coin's origins. Mintage figures for the Presidency design were substantial because it was released into circulation nationwide, and millions of Americans encountered this coin in everyday transactions. Yet despite its large production numbers, interest among collectors remained strong because it completed the 4-coin narrative of Lincoln's life, beginning with his birth and early childhood in Kentucky, continuing through his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and culminating in his presidency in Washington, D.C., and many collectors sought to assemble complete sets from all mint marks, including satin finish versions, from annual mint sets and brilliant proof versions from San Francisco, which often feature sharper details and mirror-like surfaces. The artistry of the Capitol Dome under construction invites closer examination because scaffolding details, curved architectural lines, and the partially completed iron structure are carefully rendered in miniature. And the symbolism extends beyond architecture as the rising dome mirrors the rising nation, struggling yet advancing. And historians often note that Lincoln believed deeply in the symbolism of the Capitol, and by ensuring its completion during wartime, he demonstrated confidence in national unity, and this philosophy is silently embedded in the design of the coin. In the broader historical context, 2009 was also a year of economic challenge as the United States was emerging from the financial crisis, and the release of the Lincoln Bicentennial series offered a reminder of perseverance during hardship, just as Lincoln guided the country through Civil War. Modern America faced its own trials, and the cent became more than small change. It became a pocket-sized tribute to endurance, leadership, and democratic ideals. Collectors often examine varieties such as differences in mint marks, strike quality and preservation grades with higher-grade examples certified by major grading services commanding premiums, particularly in proof condition. And while the coin remains common in circulated grades, pristine uncirculated examples with strong luster and flawless surfaces are more desirable, and copper composition collector strikes add another layer of interest due to their heavier weight and richer color compared to the standard zinc issues. The Presidency in Washington, D.C. cent also represents the closing chapter of the original reverse era before the introduction in 2010 of the Union Shield reverse design, which permanently replaced the Lincoln Memorial that had appeared from 1959 through 2008, and therefore the 2009 issues stand apart as a special transitional tribute, bridging the classic memorial reverse and the modern shield design, and in that sense, they are both commemorative and transitional pieces within the broader history of American coinage. When viewed as part of the complete 2009 series, this coin carries emotional weight because it portrays not only Lincoln the President, but Lincoln the Guardian of Unity, and the unfinished Capitol Dome stands as a metaphor for a nation always under construction, always striving toward its ideals and never fully complete, and this powerful symbolism combined with its accessible face value ensures that the coin continues to educate, inspire, and connect generations to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. For a YouTube documentary, you can expand this story by exploring Lincoln's presidential decisions, his cabinet leadership, the military campaigns of the Civil War, the political tensions in Washington, the significance of the Capitol Dome, construction project, the coin design process at the United States, mint, interviews with historians, commentary from numismatic experts, analysis of mint production techniques, comparison with earlier Lincoln cent designs and collector market trends, and by weaving together historical, narrative, artistic analysis and modern collector insights, you create not just a coin history, but a sweeping story of leadership resilience and the enduring symbolism carried by a single cent that fits in the palm of the hand yet represents one of the most defining chapters in American history. When we go deeper into the story behind the presidency in Washington, D.C. reverse, we are not simply looking at a coin design, we are looking at a powerful political message frozen in metal. Because during Abraham Lincoln presidency, the United States faced its greatest internal crisis, and yet construction of the Capitol Dome continued, even while cannons thundered across battlefields and cities trembled with uncertainty, and this deliberate decision was more than architecture. It was symbolism, meant to show that the Union would not collapse and that democratic government would endure. The Capitol Dome itself was redesigned in the 1850s because the original dome was considered too small for the expanded Capitol building, and by the time Lincoln entered office in 1861, the Iron Dome project was underway, yet funding and focus were threatened by the outbreak of the Civil War. Many believed construction should stop, but Lincoln understood the psychological importance of finishing the dome, and he famously insisted that if the people saw the Capitol dome rising, it would symbolize that the Union was rising as well, and that belief is precisely what the 2009 coin captures with the unfinished scaffolding visible above the structure. During Lincoln presidency, Washington, D.C. transformed from a quiet government town into a tense wartime capital filled with soldiers' hospitals, telegraph lines, and political maneuvering, and the presidency coin silently references this atmosphere. Because the Capitol dome under construction represents a government actively working through crisis rather than retreating from it. And collectors who study the design closely often notice how the scaffolding details are sharply engraved to emphasize that the nation was literally and figuratively under construction. The release of this coin in 2009 also carried layered historical meaning because it was not only the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, but it came at a time when the country was reflecting on leadership change and economic recovery, and the four-coin series told a chronological biography in metal, beginning with Lincoln log cabin origins and ending with his role in Washington, D.C., guiding the nation. And this narrative approach was unique in modern United States coinage, because rarely does circulating currency tell such a structured life story within a single year. From a numismatic perspective, the presidency reverse required careful engraving adjustments to ensure the fine lines of the dome and scaffolding would strike clearly on copper-plated zinc planchets used for circulation coins. And this presented technical challenges because the cent is small and intricate details can easily blur during mass production. Yet the engravers at the United States Mint balanced artistic precision with durability, creating a design that remains readable even after circulation wear. And in higher-grade specimens, the sharpness of the dome ribs and scaffolding lines becomes a key grading factor. The coin also reflects the philosophy Lincoln expressed in his second inaugural address, where he spoke of binding the nation wounds and moving forward with charity for all, and although the speech itself is not written on the coin, the image of the Capitol nearing completion mirrors the idea of rebuilding reconciliation and national healing. And for a documentary, this connection can be explored in depth by pairing visuals of the coin with readings from Lincoln's speeches, creating an emotional bridge between metal and memory. Another deeper layer of history involves the material composition of special collector versions struck in 95% copper, because this was intentionally reminiscent of early 20th century Lincoln cents, and by restoring the classic bronze alloy for limited editions, the Mint linked 2009 collectors with the original 1909 debut of the Lincoln cent, which itself was groundbreaking as it was the first regular United States coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation of liberty. And this continuity reinforces how Lincoln image has remained central to American coinage identity.